Now I'm going to read the second extract of my short story, Lunch at the Gresham, a story of love and betrayal. Um, Celia has left, and sorry, Joan has left, I should say, and Celia wakes up the following morning in bed. The band of phlegm across her chest had tightened during the night, making her breathing difficult. Celia stood in front of the electric fire, wondering if she'd ever feel warm again. She knew what she needed, a hot bath. She sighed. Things were so expensive. She was finding it increasingly difficult to manage on her pension now that she'd sold all her bonds to help Richard get through a rough patch. She couldn't admit that to her daughter, even though Joan had been hinting at it for months. Light snowflakes brushed against the window panes. She shuddered and looked at them nervously. The radio had forecasted heavy snow and low temperatures for later that day. She walked stiffly to her wardrobe and took out the wine-coloured cashmere dress Joan had given her for Christmas. Richard insisted she look smart. Besides, the dress was deliciously warm. Large flakes got into her face as she battled against the bitter wind to the bus stop. She wished she had worn her galoshes, but she was afraid she'd bump into Richard before she'd time to change out of them. "Good morning, Mrs. Willoughby." The head porter came over to her as she was about to cross the lobby of the Gresham. "Your son's just phoned. He'll be delayed. May I take your coat?" "Goodness, it's soaking." "I think a small hot whiskey to warm you up is called for." Celia hesitated. "Sure, you'll have it finished before your son arrives." Richard went on and on about his business and the people he'd met all during the lunch. She had heard most of it before, but she was content just to be in his company. "Have you a cold?" he asked, when his monologue was interrupted by a fit of coughing. "I hope not. That's the last thing I need just now." "I haven't a cold." "Good." Richard nodded his head slightly. "By the way, I'm off to London soon. A friend is opening a club and I'm thinking of going in with them." "Will you have to go over much?" Celia asked nervously. "For good. London's the place these days." "I don't know if I'd like it there," Celia said hesitantly. "Hell's bells. I mean, I wouldn't want to drag you all the way over there. Besides, you wouldn't know a soul." "I don't know anyone here." "Why don't you go back to Nina? You could live with Joan. She's a bit sick in the mud, I know, but it's time she did something for you." "Will you be back for visits?" "Now and again." He shrugged. "There's not much for me here. Don't worry, I'll keep in touch." Celia sat still, remembering all his other promises, all broken. He had persuaded her to sell her house in Nina and come to this lonely city. He needed the money, he said, for a new business venture, and that he would like her for support. She wondered if she dared ask for some money to pay for the electricity. He looked prosperous and he was wearing yet another expensive suit. She decided she would. "Mother," his words broke through her thoughts. "Yes," she said, blinking. "Any chance you could lend me some money? I'm a bit short at the moment, up with this London thing." "Oh, Richard," Celia said sadly, "I've only got my pension. You have your bonds." She nodded. "Well then, I don't." Her words trailed off. "If you won't," she shrugged. "It's not a question. I won't. I can't." "We'll leave it so," he said brusquely. "I'd better be off." The waiter presented the bill to Richard, who handed it to his mother. "Will I see you next Friday?" she asked anxiously. "I'll contact you," he said, getting up and striding out to the dining room. Celia stumbled along the slushy pavement to the bus stop, tears burning at the back of her eyes. "Didn't even kiss me goodbye," she moaned softly. The whistling of the wind through the hall door keyhole woke her from her fist doze. She got up from the sitting room couch, puzzled. The room was in darkness. She remembered turning on the electric fire before she lay down. She frantically switched the light switch. She had tried to forget. She had hoped Richard would pay her back some of the money he had wrangled out of her over the years to pay the final demand from the electricity company. Joan is right. She stood by the couch and nodded in her decision. I'll phone her tomorrow. I want to go home. The snowflakes were huge when she woke the following morning. She was sweating heavily. Her body ached all over. The phlegm was tight across her chest. The telephone rang. She tried to get up to answer it, but she was too weak. She lay terrified in the bed, blinking at the frosted window panes. She lost count of the number of times the telephone rang until its sound retreated into a dark nothingness. Oh, she looked so small and frail. Joan thought through her tears and looked down at her mother's body late on the Saturday evening. Joan glanced at the postcard she had found lying on the whole carpet. I've gone to London, she read. The picture on the other side of the card was of the Gresham Hotel. Well, I don't know what to say about trusting people, but anyway, and that's the end of that story. Take care. Bye.